Who you are is what we need in our world, is what we need in our community. That affirmation of identity and that affirmation of purpose. I want to convey and hope that our students really realizes that we are here to prepare them to be what our world needs in the future.
From the Office of Institutional Advancement and Alumni Relations, it's Xavier Gold Live, the podcast, bringing you stories of leadership, impact, and the Xavier spirit. What's new, XU? I'm Tashia Hogue.
And I'm Jalen Jones. We're both student journalists from Xavier's Mass Communications Department and are excited to bring you a podcast where we connect with our Xavier community through conversation.
In each episode, we bring you intimate interviews with standout alumni who will give us a glimpse into their unique Xavier experience. We're excited for today's episode. We have Dr. McManus-Thomas, aka Dr. Mac for short. Not only is he a part of the golden class of 2012, but he just couldn't get enough of XU, so he graduated with degree number 2 in 2015 with a master's in educational leadership.
We see this leadership through his newly appointed role as principal of one of the highest performing schools in the city of New Orleans, Benjamin Franklin High School.
As he continues his way up this leadership ladder, he exceeds the expectation of a Xavierite and his commitment to educational excellence. Again, let's welcome Dr. McManus-Thomas to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Let's go, XU.
We're excited to connect with you. You know, it's not every day we come across a two-time alumni.
Yes. I have such great memories and love for our XU. Just an amazing education, both for my bachelor's and my master's.
And we can't wait to hear all about it. For me, a motivational proverb that was told to me since grammar school was how knowledge is power. And so it became secondhand for me to just invest in my education. With that being said, give us some insight into what led you to this passion for mentorship, specifically in education.
And it was truly cultivated at Xavier. My freshman year, I was a chemistry pre-pharmacy major. I always knew in my heart that I wanted to be a teacher and wanted to work in education, but didn't want to accept it. So started a program my freshman year, Men on the Move. It was a volunteer program at Xavier. And of course, as a freshman at Xavier, getting involved in so many different activities. And I really believe in community service. And that organization, Men on the Move, we volunteered at a local middle school. We went weekly and just had an amazing time there with those young men who were in that after school program. Great volunteers within the Men on the Move program. We had great leadership on campus, some great upperclassmen that were just doing some amazing things at Xavier. And that's when the bug hit me, my freshman year, Men on the Move at Xavier. And since then was truly inspired to be the change that I wanted to see in our city at that time that was going on in education. And that spark went from there.
I could just commend you on continuing that pattern of being the change that you want to see. What do you hope to convey to your students in your role as principal? We understand this is not even your first go around as principal in such a executive position, but it just happens to be with a higher grade level of students. So what are you hoping to convey during your tenure?
During my tenure here at Franklin, one of the many things that I hope to convey with my students, one, that they belong in any space that they want to be as your authentic and best self. Who you are is what we need in our world, is what we need in our community. That affirmation of identity and that affirmation of purpose. Tied to that, the second biggest thing I want to convey and hope that our students really realize is that we are here to prepare them to be what our world needs in the future. I had that through my education, especially at Xavier, preparing for a more just and humane society. And that was a charge that I felt not only in our mission at Xavier, but that I felt in our curriculum and our programming and the mentorship that I received at Xavier. You have a responsibility beyond yourself. And that responsibility can only be realized if you are who you are, what you are called to do. So those are the two biggest things that I want my new students to realize. I've always been big on in every iteration of education and leadership, affirming and respecting my partner's identity. And when I say partners, I'm a partner with my students. I'm a partner with our families. I'm a partner with our teachers and faculty members. But also I want to push you to achieve and realize what you have been purposed to do.
With your passion for education and understanding of its importance to the New Orleans community, How has growing up in New Orleans itself influenced your approach to education and the way you choose leadership?
Being a New Orleans native, and I am proud to say, born, raised, and stayed, and educated from elementary, middle, high, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate, all in our great city. For me, it is a point of purpose and inspiration. I didn't grow up in the best community here in New Orleans. I grew up in Michoud. If you're familiar with New Orleans and if you're familiar with Michoud, we have our challenges in that part of the community. And at that time, when I grew up, the part of Michoud that I grew up, we have some amazing parts in Michoud, right? And in New Orleans, it's a great community hub. But there's some other areas that are not as great. For me and my leadership, if I could have opportunity, because I wanted to be out of the situation and circumstances that I was living in, and education was my passport there. What I take with that experience, I don't know where my kids are coming from. I don't know what dynamics my students are experiencing fully. I may know of, but I'm not experiencing it daily how they are. My objective in my leadership and my role as an educator is to prepare you to whatever you want to do in life, that you can make it and you will make it. And I'm going to support you both personally and I'm going to support you academically. As a leader, I lead teachers and staff members to realize that as well. We do not know who they will be, but we also do not fully understand the dynamics in which they're living. And that was my reality. And I take that with me. Like, I don't know the full context, but no matter where you're from, no matter what those struggles are, if you really care and you also push on that rigor and having that bar on like, hey, we're going to meet challenges, but I'm going to support you emotionally. I'm going to support you mentally. I'm going to support like those hard things because life be lifing. And it is really hard for a teenager and young adult to regulate and make meaning of life lifing. Then we have to do those things. So that's what I've taken with me in my leadership from being born, raised, and stayed here proudly.
And we can see that passion that you have. Going back to when you said it's a partnership, it's a two-way street. You're pouring in the results that you want to see. How do you stay in tune with what is effectively getting these students motivated to learn?
You got to stay in tune with them. It's their education. Like, you have to humble yourself. You have to be connected to what your purpose is. And I find it best to go to the source. Ask them. I think that's a level of respect. Again, partnership. I'm going to ask. I'm not going to assume for you. I'm not going to judge and insult your intelligence to say that I think I know what's best. I may have an idea, but I'm going to bring it to you. I'm going to put your thinking on it, but I want your feedback. So staying grounded with them. And that's what keeps me energized on the hardest days. And we had some struggles in education. We have struggles in all industries, especially that was like really uplifted during COVID and natural disasters and the like. But you have to engage them in those dynamics.
I know you making somebody's favorite teacher list because your energy is just so contagious and you have this clear dedication for your students' progress. Please enlighten our listeners on how you maintain a balance amongst not only your responsibilities, but also your social life. Because we know the Big Easy it's a good place for that healthy work-life balance. So give us some insight on that.
That's hard. I have gotten better with that. I can honestly say I was awful at that in the beginning of my career.
Me right now.
Yes, I struggled with that. Now at this point, what I've realized is that for me to live my purpose and to do what is needed to be done effectively and efficiently, the best version of myself is not the tired version of me. It's not the exhausted version of me. It's not the stressed version of me, right? For me to give the energy, inspiration, the strategic thought and preparation for our kids, I have to fill my bucket. So what I do now, I take my job very seriously. I take the futures of our children very seriously. I take the future of our community very seriously. So I'm going to go hard at work. I'm going to give it 1,000%. I'm going to engage. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to communicate. But equally, I have learned to prioritize self and family and things that fill my bucket. So technically how I do it, I'm a planner and I plan for those things. How I would plan to study, how I would plan to read this. I plan to go hang out. I plan to prioritize when I'm going to go get a massage, when I'm going to get a manicure, pedicure, when I'm going to go do these things that really fill my bucket.
I agree. If you're working hard, we have to play harder.
Yes, got to. It's we work so hard, you want to smell the roses along the way.
Also, like you said, life is basically organization and scheduling and having a plan with certain things or just everything. But when you say you go hard for your students and you push for your students, we notice your transition from teacher to principal, which speaks to your ability to press forward and fear nothing. So what influenced you to take on this promotion?
Going back to like being the change that you want to see. And some things you realize you have to elevate your influence in your space to cast a wider net on what needs to be changed. I love teaching. I was a chemistry teacher. I'm a teacher at heart. Whenever I'm in a faculty meeting or anything, like you can always see the teacher in me, but you also systemically see the gaps. And while I love the direct connection with students in the classroom and really nerding out on chemistry, stoichiometry, chemical reactions, we got to get into acid-base equilibria. Like I had so much fun with Kim. There were so many things that needed to be done in education. So I was inspired to continue into leadership, to make that impact on more kids and to also inspire more people to do the same.
After exploring this profession within your passion and your day-to-day, as well as the contributions that you've made to the youth of the community, we'd like to take a trip back down memory lane to relive your XU experience.
Oh, let's go.
Envision yourself. It's 2008, just 2 years before the Saints secure their one and only Super Bowl, and 3 years post of one of the deadliest hurricanes known to man, Hurricane Katrina. Besides those, what initial challenges did you face during your first year at Xavier, and how did your undergrad obstacles prepare you for your graduate term?
As a first-generation college student in my family, that was so hard to navigate. And my family loves me like dearly, and I love them, and they are so supportive. But we had a lot going on with family dynamics, with family in different places, and navigating college business. So that was hard with adjusting to how do you navigate the business of education. And what that made me realize, like, you got to go get it. You have to be informed. You have to research. You have to reach out. You have to communicate. And my grandmother raised me in high school, and we had like a lot going on with relocating to Lafayette, Louisiana, and just that commute there. So I didn't want to burden her with like that responsibility. So I had to I had to schedule meetings with financial aid, with my advisor to get understanding of how do I schedule? How do I get on Banner Web? What's a Banner Web? Like all of these things that I will see online. And it just made me realize, and I still have that skill today, like don't depend on anyone. It's no one's responsibility to tell you that, but it is your responsibility to reach out and also ask questions. And that comes with being prepared and finding out where your gaps are. Like it was a struggle, but everyone I reached to, they were supportive. Everyone I reached out to, they were supportive. I came with something when I had a question. And I found just those supports were just so tremendous when I was at Xavier navigating that first year experience.
Attended at HBCU, you're often surrounded by, Black excellence. And during this experience, the college journey, we seek out those lifelong friendships and bonds. And so, were you who you hung around? Tell us about the friend group dynamics and how your group might have supported you during that Xavier experience.
Let's go. I mean, that's what I love so much about Xavier. Xavier had a strong and had this robust community of people that today they are not friends, they are family to me. Family, like I'm in their weddings, their children are my godchildren, right? But also having like this amazing educational experience, right? Like that. But I've met so much of my chosen family at Xavier, meeting so many people. And this was again during a time during the elections. We have Obama that was running and he was elected, and just having those conversations on world and national issues and getting perspectives from people who were not only from New Orleans, but people from California, Chicago, East Coast, West Coast, like just getting different perspectives while at Xavier from people that looked like me, but had different contexts. That was also challenging because that's the first time I ran up to Black privilege. It's whoa, I wasn't used to that. I grew up in some tough spots. We had some struggles. I'm meeting people who were privileged, and I wasn't used to that. So having those arguments and pushing that social consciousness and self-awareness is hey, while we're saying that this behavior is racist, but some of your comments are culturally insensitive around people who may not have the socioeconomic means. So yeah, just that dialogue and that banter and just that widening of perspectives and life experiences.
Can you recall one staff or faculty member at Xavier who made the long calls from Xavier South to the library worth walking to in the rain?
I have to really shout out Dr. Glaude in the education division. He was a major mentor of mine while at Xavier, Black male who really showed me what I could be and really pushed me intellectually, pushed my skill development. And while I was having challenges, he could really push me. He really pushed me both personally and how do I rise up to my potential while also embracing the challenge and really provided so many opportunities for me to cultivate my gifts. So Dr. Glaude, Dr. Akbar, and Dr. Hell as well in the education division, Dr. Adams in chemistry, absolutely phenomenal. So many professors that really poured so much into me. Dr. Hell not letting me slip. What are you doing with these grades? What? How did you do this? No, get it together. Dr. Akbar was just enlightening my mind on just the social awareness. Father Linden in theology that just really pushed critical thinking and how do you assess information. Just so many profound professors that I've had.
Speaking of a ton of those experiences you had with a lot of your professors, what's a core XU memory from your time here at Xavier that stuck with you throughout the years?
I will say the day Barack Obama was elected president, we were all up waiting, and that day was filled with so much pride and excitement. Our faculty members and staff members, they were celebrating with us. We were all in the parking lot between the Porras and LLC. Everybody was just on the streets in the parking lot. It was so much joy and fun. That day. I will always remember that day. And our dorm step-offs. Oh my God, dorm step-off in the barn. Barn isn't there anymore, but the barn, it used to go down for dorm step-off. Shout out to St. Mike's.
I hear about the mics being, that rite of passage that you got to go through. Same with KD. So.
Yeah, Mike's was an experience.
Definitely.
Everyone knows St. Mike's always was going to win the dorm step-off. KD was going to try to come with it,
Not too much. We have 6 scores, y'all have 3.
Mighty with 3. Let's go.
We just got 3.
What impact did your time at Xavier have on not only your personal but professional journey?
One of the things that I truly appreciate about Xavier is, again, that strong and through line, right? Cultivating you as a person, but preparing you to be a leader in your field and prepared to thrive in it. I can say as soon as I left Xavier and got into my career, I was prepared to meet the demands of being a professional. There was nothing that I did not learn or was not exposed to in both content and soft skills that I was able to transfer into the professional environment that was directly cultivated at Xavier through the education division, through the chemistry courses I was taking in our liberal arts curriculum. At first, I was what, liberal arts? Why do I have to take this social science? And I'm a chemistry ed major. But leaning into it, I found myself developing as a thinker, as a writer, as a communicator, those skills that you need to be a successful professional. Personally, that self-awareness, that self-identity, pushing your values and strengthening your identity, those 2 things I was truly prepared for. And I'm so thankful because I think that accelerated my career, just coming in at a crucial point in education that exposed me to different opportunities later down the line.
In addition to that, how often do you look back on those lessons learned and apply them to your leadership role?
Quite frequently. I think success comes with preparation and opportunity. And you have to give honor and gratitude to the opportunities that you have, the preparation that you are blessed with, and the ability to realize it in terms of success. I always take it into how do I cultivate that for someone else? How do I prepare environments, professionals, an opportunity for a student, a teacher, a staff member to be prepared for when an opportunity comes, or provide an opportunity, if they are prepared, for them to be successful, to carry it forward. My work is not for me. My work is for those who I work for. and to ensure that this thing we call education keeps going. I'm going to need more teachers. I'm going to need more principals. I'm going to need more leaders in our community. One of the things that I'm really grateful for is to provide that opportunity. When I reflect on experiences I've had the opportunity to take advantage of different roles and had success in them because I was prepared. So in my job, really big on being prepared and really pushing what does that look like and providing opportunity when it's available.
Our Xavier community is always so big on just uplifting each other and motivating each other to press forward. What does it mean to you to be a Xavierite?
It means the world to me to be a Xavierite. And I am so proud of the education that I've had, both from an academic and personal standpoint. What it means to me is that I am a model. I'm a vessel of what it represents to be a change agent in our world and really like to shine a light on things. And my field is education, which I believe is a combination of hope and vision. That to me is what the values I have as an educator, hope and vision. And that we are all vessels of that light. We are all examples of that. And as a Xavierite, got to shine. We got to show off what is within us, what we are prepared to do, what we are cultivated to do. And as Xavier, you're going to go through some things. You're going to go through some things, right? That's going to prepare you. Like them late nights, that studying, the group work, as life is lifing. And that's for you to shine and show off and then inspire and encourage others to do the same.
Yes, and who better to know that than someone who is a 2-time alumni?
Yes.
We know you have extreme hopes for the future in education and for our students and the next generation. But what are your hopes for Xavier's future as it continues to press forward and fear nothing in its next century?
Yes. I am so excited about Xavier's future. And one thing that I really appreciate about our Xavier community is that forward mindset on addressing critical issues, both locally and globally. And just looking at the moves that we are making, the moves that the Xavier community is making in terms of developing the medical school. You see different programs coming online, bachelor's programs, master's programs, graduate programs that address those issues. The Division of Education getting a doctorate of education program, right, to cultivate the best minds and leaders in our educational community. You see how the university is addressing the needs of, again, local and global communities. And I hope that as a community, as a Xavier community, we continue to address those issues boldly, but also strategically, and providing resources around them and inspiring generations to confront those challenges by being prepared.
How else would you say you stay connected to the Xavier community since graduating, and how would you encourage others to do the same?
Well, how I have stayed connected is through the people that I've met, both my classmates, peers, but also faculty and staff members that I've met along the way. Those relationships did not stop in 2012 or in 2015. Those relationships are lifelong relationships that have been cultivated since day one. And I encourage every Xavierite now and alums to stay connected, right? When I see Xavierite in the community at different events, it's this organic, amazing energy that we have. We may have not seen each other in some time, but it's like we just saw each other yesterday because of those authentic and meaningful connections and relationships we built while there, but also communicating with alum that we're in the same career field with. There are so many Xavierites that I can reach out to professionally and get advice on, get more thoughts and ideas on. So I encourage everyone to stay connected.
Well, I think it's about that time. Jalen, do you think it's about that time?
I think it is about that time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rush our gold guests into answering some rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
Dr. Mack, we would like to welcome you to the Live 5. We will ask you 5 questions we think our gold community would love to know. So when you're ready, let me know.
Let's go.
Category is wings. Who that's or we that's?
Who that's?
When feeling homesick, where did you go on campus?
I went to go see one of my advisors in the education division.
Song that reminds you of your time at Xavier.
Write me down.
Which do you enjoy being more, chemistry teacher or a track coach?
Oh, chemistry teacher.
Last one. 3 words that describe your Xavier homecoming experience.
A time. No, that's for word.
Very
a time indeed.
Thank you. A time indeed. Okay, guys, that wraps up the segment of our podcast called The Live 5.
Well, Dr. Mack, again, it was just a pleasure connecting with you through conversation.
Yes.
How can our growing Go community connect with you online?
You can connect with me online via Instagram. My Instagram name is Philomathx, PhiloMathx, Philomathx.
All right. Thank you again.
Thank you all for having me. This is absolutely amazing. I'm wishing you all the best of luck. I know you're going to continue to do well and your futures are extremely bright, and I'm so subscribed to your success.
Thank you for tuning in to the Xavier Gold Live Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Now, XU, you know what to do. Join our growing Go community on the first Tuesday of every month.
This podcast is available to listen to wherever you listen to your podcast. Do us a favor by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show today. Make sure to also follow us on social media and subscribe to our monthly newsletter.
This is Xavier Gold Live, the podcast where Xavier's legacy comes to life.